Hello everybody, this is Nuoance, and today I'm going to be changing it up a little bit. Now every Thursday I do like posting some kind of VRCHAT content, either talking about popular issues, controversies, etc. Today is going to be a little different than that, and it's going to be a little bit more improv. If you are well endowed with the cosplay community, you have maybe seen this photo before. It went viral a couple years ago, I think 5-6 years ago, I can't remember. And it's a photo of me cosplaying Cinder. It was a selfie I took before the night started. And long story short, it's one of the stories I'm going to be telling today about how I was stabbed. And it's not a stabbing that you think where like a knife went straight through my back and I was like, oh! But it was still weapon on my back in a stabbing motion. I was just lucky it didn't actually go through. Plus it was a prop sword. But yeah. So I am gonna start with talking about real quick. If you don't follow my Twitter, go ahead and give it a follow. I am going to be posting content that is Twitter specific only. This can be from things to a preview of the video I am going to talk about on Thursdays or whenever I upload it, to world updates. If you enjoy my worlds, I post all my updates on there. I'm not really working on a new one right now. I have one in the works, but I had to pause it due to a few commissions, and as well as just funny little videos like the one that you're probably seeing now. The big reason why I changed today's topic, originally it was going to be talking about the pros and cons of people under the age of 18 being allowed to play this game, is because I've recorded that maybe 5 times now, and each time it's either gotten corrupted, recorded wrong, or the mic didn't work. And I don't want to record it again. I will do it later. I am tired of it. So this is a last minute change to a video that I had planned later on as time went on. But, you know, we'll see how it works. Let's get cooking. So I'm going to start with my very first instance of one of these toxic cosplay encounters. It was literally the first time I ever cosplayed. Long time ago, I used to enjoy anime, and the story of how I got into anime is kind of a funny one. I had some very few friends when I was in middle school, and this guy that I was friends with who had always had a crush on me, he was talking to his friend about a show called Naruto. Now, if you don't know what Naruto is, which is semi-unlikely, the long and short is it's an anime about a boy who is a ninja that has a demon inside of him, and everyone hates him for that, but he didn't really know why, and it's just his growth. And then we have Boruto, which we won't even talk about. Sorry if you like Boruto, I do not. But anyway, I saw them talking about it, and I was like, wow, that looks interesting. Can I, talk to you guys about it? Like, can I learn about it? And, middle school, he's like, girls don't watch this kind of stuff. It's for boys. I'm petty. I am very, very petty. So, I went in, Googled it up, Naruto, watched the entire, up to Shippuden during our long weekend. We had, I think a week or maybe half a week off. I can't remember why. And so I spent that entire time watching Naruto. I barely took any breaks. And I think I actually got into a bit of Shippuden. I ended up passing them, was the long and short of it, in what they had watched. So I came back from that break, proudly storming in, being like, oh, did you guys hear what happened at Shippuden? Oh, you haven't made it to Shippuden. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get ahead of you. And I know I shouldn't have. I know that was petty of me, but it kind of pissed me off. And the reason this story has merit is because for Halloween one year, I was like, I want to dress up as a character from Naruto. Why can't I? Why has nobody thought about this? Spoiler alert, they had. It's called cosplay. So I looked up Naruto costume, and I found a YouTube channel by the name of, I think it was Fighting Dreamers. One of the cosplayers in that group was named Twin Fools. That's all I really remember. And I thought their stuff was the funniest thing. I loved it. Oh, I thought it was great. So I decided, hey, I really want to do this cosplay thing. Found out that in my town there was a local convention, and for Christmas I asked for cosplay costumes. And I actually did get one costume completely handmade by my friend's mom. She's a professional seamstress, so if I can find a picture, I'll post it here. I love that costume. I still have it. Unfortunately, I don't have the weapons, the boots, or the belts anymore, because when I asked for it, they never gave it back. They said that they'd look for it and they never found it. So I really want to cosplay it again. My friends have been trying to get me to actually finish it, but I just haven't. But we entered a competition together, and that was a rush of joy. And the big thing was my very first experience, which I didn't even put on this list, but I am going to put now, was the fact that when I was cosplaying Mimi Julia von Schwarzlag, in case none of you know, that's the name of the character, she's from Atelier Toturi. This guy came up, and I was cosplaying with my friend's siblings and my friend. And while we were there, this guy came up to us and was like, can we have a photo? And he had one of those shirts, you know, the ones where it has two anime girls with can I say that word? With cantaloupes, melons. They were very well-endowed women that reached the floor. And I was just like, hi. I didn't really know what to do with it. I was a very socially awkward child. I had maybe 5-6 friends total. I did not talk to people very often. But he wanted photos, and he specifically wanted photos of my friend and her sister. And then he was like, not you two. And I was like, oh. But they did it. Everything was great. And then he asked, oh, no. It was my friend's sister, and then my friend's brother. So it was the whole trio. It just wasn't me. And I was really sad about it. Then he asked me if we could take a photo together. And I was like, why just me, though? So he comes over, and he puts his hand around my waist and, like, gets me really close up to him. And he's like, Mimi is my favorite character, and I really ship her with Sturkenberg. Sturkenberg was the character my friend's brother was cosplaying. And I was just like, oh, that's funny, haha. I really don't ship that, but whatever. And I just remember, because if you can see, I don't know if any of these pictures show, but I'll also try and post a reference photo. On the sides, there are holes. It's a very nice costume, but there is nothing here. So his hand was going into my shirt, and I was so uncomfortable. I remember sitting there like, take the picture, 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 please. And finally I took a picture. I just dashed. We went somewhere else, and that was the end of that. And that was my first experience with creepers in the convention setting. Technically, for the most part, what he did wasn't too bad. The thing was the fact that he put his hand on me when I was still a minor and stuck his hand underneath the side of my shirt. And that, ooh, no, didn't like that. No Gucci to that. That's a no Gucci thing. So don't do it. But after that, I've had my own few encounters as well, which was bringing me back to the previous one that I was actually originally telling with the Naruto thing, but got a little off topic, was after that competition, I wanted to compete as well. I wanted to learn how to sew and compete, and I've done a few competitions now. I'm not the best at them, but I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of what I've made. As you'll see like a progression of costumes as time goes on, and maybe it gets better or worse, I don't know. But the big thing was, before I could make my own costumes, I needed to have actual costumes that I liked. So I ended up buying a Naruto Shippuden Hinata and Naruto Shippuden Sakura. And the reason was because I had this fascination with Sakura's, like, strength. I loved how strong she was. I didn't really like her character type, but I loved the fact that she was a healer that could kick your ass. That was my thing I liked about her. And Hinata I liked as well, but I didn't like her character. I'm sorry. I'm making everyone hate me right now, but out of all the female characters, my favorite probably would have had to be Tamari. I really like Tamari. I also kind of like Tintin, but she was a little on the bland side. Off topic, I bought a Sakura and a Hinata costume. And I had hair very similar to Hinata at the time. It was long, it was the dark brown-black. Hers is blue-black, but close enough. And so I always used to cosplay her. But the first time I went to the local convention, I cosplayed Sakura, and I didn't have wigs at the time, so it was just my normal hair, and obviously that was, you know, you don't have to wear a wig if you don't want to, but if you're going for accuracy, it might be better. So, first off, I got a lot of comments on where my wig is, and I remember a later convention that I wore it to. I tried giving Sakura a second chance, wore the costume, and then somebody was just like, oh, it's Sakura without a wig. Are you really Sakura then? And so I got really upset. Went back to the car, changed, because I had backup costumes, and then came back. But this particular instance, I was cosplaying, you know, the character, and it was a very small 2-room convention because it was local. And I was enjoying it. You know, it was very small. There was not much to do. It was only like, you know, maybe there for 4 or 5 hours most because there's really nothing to do. But for a first-time con, it's a very good one, especially for the younger ones that you don't want to be lost in the hustle and bustle of real conventions. So I was going around, talking to people, looking at booths. They had a bunch of activities, which was really nice. And this guy who was cosplaying Sebastian from Black Butler comes up to me and is like, ew, I can't believe you'd want to be the most useful character or the most useless character in Naruto. Which, if you have that opinion, fine. I don't care. I was just like, haha, I guess. I really like how she's like a strong fighter, but also likes to heal. I don't really know how to deal with this. And this guy, the entirety of those 5 hours, followed me around these 2 rooms just to tell me how useless I was. And how it reflects because of the character I was portraying. And if you're in the cosplay community, you know very clearly cosplay is not consent and you are not who you cosplay. I'll get more into that later, but it really hurt my feelings. And after that, I didn't want to cosplay her anymore. I still haven't cosplayed her. And that one instance where I tried cosplaying her again, I got shot down immediately right after. And I talked about this in my other video that's not going up yet, but when you're a kid, it's much easier to leave a really bad impression on yourself, to get a really bad impression put on yourself as a child. And that hit me hard because I saw all these amazing costumes. I was an amazing costume at one point, and now everyone was just bad-mouthing me. And it hurt. I did get into a situation where I was really uncomfortable. I was cosplaying Hetalia, went to a Hetalia meetup, everything was fine. But then shortly after that meetup, I don't know how to put this delicately, but I was invited to have a party with 2 other people. It would be a 3-person party. And I was just like, no, thank you. But the worst part about it was I found out later that these 2 people were 17 and 18. So one of them was a minor. And the other one I didn't really get a hard answer about, but it looked like they were 18. And no! If you are not 18, do not try to get other people over the age of 18 involved in your shenanigans. I don't agree with it, period. I don't think you should be mucking about at the younger ages anyways, but I'm not your mom. I'm not gonna condemn you for it. It's your choice, your life. But if you want to be treated like an adult and be mature, you're not going to be putting adults in danger by purposely avoiding telling them your age or trying to involve them in activities. The only reason I knew that one kid was 17 was because they were talking about going to a bar with their other friends, and I overheard the one say, "Oh, we can't go because I'm 17. They didn't even bother to tell me their ages. And I wouldn't have done it anyways because I'm not into that kind of stuff. I'm no. But don't do it. Just don't do it. Just, please. Don't do it. Please. And that honestly gets me to my next story, which isn't my story, but it is a story that I witnessed. And once again, I've talked about Ruby before. We have this big Ruby meetup called the Beacon Ball twice a year, and it's a lot of fun. It's when you go, and it's hosted by people cosplaying as Ruby, and you just dance, have fun, play games. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Before that, usually there's a Q&A panel with the Ruby characters as well. I never joined the Q&A because my opinion on Q&As they are boring. It is a way for the cosplayer to be focused on themselves instead of a people that they are supposed to be entertaining. And I could talk about a Q&A that went wrong. I might not, depending on how long this video goes. But this particular Q&A was Ruby. Everyone was having fun. It was actually interactive. It was going well. They did have actually some games, which is a good thing. If you do a Q&A, at least have some kind of entertainment for the panel goers, the attendees. And in the middle of this guy over-dramatically pushes the doors open and goes, "Adam Tauros." And we had an Adam Tauros. He was a young 16-year-old boy. And he's sitting there like, hi. And he has PTSD and anxiety as well, I believe. So he was sitting there like, hello, what do you want? And he walks up, the Team Fortress guy walks up pulling a bat from his back as if he's like some kind of anime villain and slams it to the ground. Not like actually, like slam, like, you know, boom. It was just like, I challenge you to a duel for Blake Belladonna's heart. And we're all kind of half laughing because we think he's joking. We're like, this guy's silly, haha, funny. And Adam's just like having a meltdown. And this is where the thing gets cool though. Right next to Adam was sitting Salem, the main villain of the Ruby franchise, at least for right now. I don't know if a new one's gonna come up, but at the moment, Salem is the main villain. And in plot twist, Salem is his mother. So she gets up, and you can tell this is not a joke anymore. And all of a sudden, all of the Ruby panelists are like, you need to go. Go on, get out of here. And so eventually they were able to corral him out, but the poor kid was so scared. And it wasn't cool. It was awful. And it has a continuation that I wasn't there for. But my friend Mary went to the photo shoot, and while she was at the photo shoot, he ended up coming back, and he was demanding that Adam lay on the ground, and he steps all over him and takes a photo of trampling over this 16-year-old kid. I was like, that's mega gross, dude. And so they had to kick him out of there. And I guess, I don't know if they actually called security on him or not. I hope they did, personally. But I don't know. One of the first times I went to a convention by myself, I cosplayed Ibuki Miyota from Danganronpa 2. And she is still one of my favorite characters to cosplay. I've remade her wig at least 4 or 5 times. And people seem to like my impersonations of her, so why not keep cosplaying her? But the first time I went to a convention by myself, I remember I was having a great time, I was making new friends, and I was just wandering around, and at one point I just noticed this guy cosplaying Knuckles, which is ironic now because of all the Knuckles stuff, but this guy was cosplaying Knuckles, and he was just like, oh hey, I like your cosplay, and I was like, thank you very much! You know, being hyper chipper, however Ibuki is anymore. I honestly haven't cosplayed her in like 3 years, but I miss cosplaying her. And he was just like, so I have a favor. And I'm like, yeah? He's like, do you mind if I stalk you? And I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Am I out of screen? Oh, I'm not even close to being out out of screen. Alright, well. Fuck. My wall's right there. I don't plan this very well, because I was going to jump this way, but if I jumped this way, it would just be, hooah! I'd still be here. Anyway, I was freaked out. I was terrified. I didn't like where this was going at all. And so I started panicking. Now, a little fun fact about me, and I don't agree with it at all. My mom, to show me the evils in the world, would make me, my brother, and my sister watch that Special Victims Unit show. I can't remember what it's called, but I keep calling it CSGO, and I know that's not it. I think it's CSI, Special Victims Unit. But she would make us watch that. She'd sit us down and make us watch that at least once a day. A different episode. And she would always tell us, this is how real people are. So you can bet your bottoms I was terrified of strangers. I was trained to believe that any stranger I ever meet is going to do what that show does to the women there and the men there. I was so scared. I went into the bathroom and cried, and let me tell you, these Lolita dressed goddesses saw me crying in the bathroom and were just like, are you okay? And I told them what happened. I told them this guy was out there and he asked if he could stalk me, and he's been following me around for 15-20 minutes, and I just can't take it anymore, and I'm just waiting for my grandma to pick me up. And so they were like, listen, we will stay with you until your grandmother's here. And I was so grateful. I went out finally, and he's like, oh, there you are. And they're like, oh yeah, we were just looking for our friend. And so they lead me to a different part of the convention, and he's still following, so we all sit down to eat. They ended up staying with me, and one thing that really hit me in a negative way was one of the girls came up to me as my grandma was picking me up and was just like, you know, he doesn't seem like he was that creepy. But the entire time, he was just looking at me, and he kept asking for my phone number, and I kept telling him no. And I don't care what you think. If you ask for something and somebody tells you no, that's the end of the discussion. There's no more conversation to be had on it. No more debate. No means no. Means no means no. What is that show called? The Comfy Couch. Look it up. But I think that's pretty much most of the stories besides two. The other one was when I was cosplaying Atelier Lady and Swell. I was cosplaying, I think, Swell or Lady. I can't remember. I was cosplaying one of the two sisters. Here's a photo. Both of us. I'm the purple one. Well, what happened was, as you can see in those photos, this area does not exist. And I love that style. I have actually an avatar plan to have that shirt because it's so cute, or a shirt like it more accurately. But when cosplaying, we had to super glue this. Because if I leaned over, it would just, whoo, you know how that fabric is. It was a very light fabric. And I didn't want to risk it. So we super glued everything. Everything was fine. And I remember we were going around, and I would wear a jacket everywhere because the thing was we were competing. I wasn't wearing it for the convention floor. I was wearing it for photo shoots and competition. That was it. So whenever we weren't competing or weren't taking photos, I had a jacket on because I felt more comfortable that way. People would recognize our costumes, ask for photos. I'd take the jacket off, take the picture, put the jacket back on. Pretty simple. This one guy asked for a photo. He was like, oh my gosh, I love your characters. And I don't know if he actually knew where they were from, but he specifically, I remember, was like, took one photo of my friend and then was like, okay, your turn. Can you pose like this? And you can guess why he was hoping I pose like this. Because this would see, you would see all the way through. And I mean, aesthetically wise, it looks pretty good. But I don't want some random guy getting a photo of that. I'd rather have a professional take it because I just didn't feel comfortable. So when he asked me to go like this, I went like this. And then when he tried to go the other way, I went like this. To make sure, no matter what, he wasn't getting what he wanted, but I still complied in a civil manner. I could have just said no, realistically. I know I could have. But I also wasn't in the mood to create waves that day. I was tired. My heels were, They were, I think, 9 inches? If I remember correctly, 8 or 9 inches. They were big boots. And it hurt to walk around. But, I don't know what it is with Atelia cosplays. People be acting real weird with them. But the last story is a story I said at the very beginning, was the story of when I got stabbed. That same day of the Adam Tauros incident, I was cosplaying Cinder from Ruby. And if you don't know who Cinder is, she is a very mean lady. If you don't want spoilers, kind of skip I think 15-20 seconds ahead. But the long and short is she killed a very endearing character to the entire Ruby series. And this is why it's funny, is because me and my friend cosplay those two, so we always take funny photos. I could make a video on my experiences cosplaying Cinder alone. I have gotten multiple death threats. I have been told, whispered in my ear, that if they could have, or if this wasn't a convention, they would take me out back and treat me how I deserve. I have been told that I'm better off dead. I have been just completely ignored. My friend would be cosplaying Pyrrha, and they want a photo of her, and then I'd be standing there, and they'd be like, we don't know your character. I'm like, that's fine. And then they'd be like, so have you seen season 5 yet? Like, they know the character. And I'm not the kind of person that's like, hey, why not take a photo of me? I'm Cinder. I'm from the same show. I don't like when people do that. I don't like, if you want a picture of a particular character, that's fine. But also, don't be giving glares to the other people cosplaying. I'm still just me. I'm not actually Cinder. And that happened a lot. I got a lot of death threats. I got a lot of violent threats. I got a lot of threats to Cinder. And I know it should have probably scared me more, but for me, it felt like, hey, that's what I'm doing right. If they don't like me, that means I really look and portray the character well, I guess. It's still not okay at all. And if you are the kind of person that thinks that it's okay to badmouth a person because of what they're cosplaying, then don't go to conventions, okay? Can we make that deal? All right? Just stay behind your little computer and type your hate message, and then they'll delete it, okay? Good. I'm glad we're in agreement there. If you aren't that kind of person, welcome. We love you. But the biggest story was during our Beacon Ball, we were having our dances, we were having fun, and this guy was cosplaying Jean, which is the boyfriend of Pyrrha, pretty much. Is the simplest way to explain it. And I am sitting there, enjoying myself, talking to people, trying to get people involved, and I hear this "for Pyrrha" loud scream, and then this sudden pain on my back, and I stumble forward. I don't fall, thank goodness, but there was a lot of force, and I remember feeling this searing pain on my back, and I'm like, what was that? I turn around, and this Jean cosplayer has his big ass wooden sword like this, as if he just smacked someone with it. Now, I may have been in shock, but I wasn't stupid. I realized he just fucking hit me with his prop sword, and I felt blood. I checked later that night, and there was blood. Somehow my costume didn't get scratched, thank God, because there is a little hole in the back. But I didn't know what to do. I was flabbergasted. I have gotten threats before, but I've never been physically assaulted. And so maybe stabbing isn't the right word, but once again, I got beaten. And so I just was just like, do you really think something that small would actually do any damage? And he scampered off, and I was like, okay. First thing I did was I went to go find my friends to tell them. And I can't remember if I told them before or after, but I do remember later on, I hear again "for Pyrrha." I turn around and I'm ready to lose it, because now I'm starting to calm down. I'm realizing I just got assaulted. I need to actually make a bigger deal about this. So I go over to, I turn around about to tell him, hey, that's not fucking cool. And as he's swinging, and he's swinging hard, he's like, boom. Because mid-swing, his entire blade flies off. And he looks at the blade, he grabs the blade, and he runs out of the convention room, the panel room. And that's when I ended up telling my close friend, one of my best friends, Mary. And I was like, I just got assaulted. I don't know what to do. So we then had to talk about it in the group because we needed a way to let each other know if somebody is being harassed, because we had 2 instances now of our cosplayers being harassed. The Adam and me. And I'm still flabbergasted. One woman got her baby kidnapped because she dressed up her baby as Deku. And this cosplayer picked the baby out of the crib and tried to take a picture with it and walked away for a photo. Like, what is wrong with you people? I don't care what your excuse is. Cosplayers are not the people they cosplay. If I was really Cinder, do you think I'd be snoozing it up like that? No, I'd be whatever she's doing now. If I had actual fire powers, I would have set him on fire right then and there. Like, come on. Please, for the love of God. That's the overbranching lesson of today. Do not treat cosplayers like they are the actual characters they cosplay. And I will say, this works both ways though, because just like there's the bad, there's also the good. When I cosplayed Atili or Maruru for my very first competition, that was my first competition costume, I had a line of children wanting to take pictures with me because they thought I was Fluttershy. And I'll be dead serious, I don't even care. I was so happy. I felt like a Disney princess. That was such a good feeling to me. Having these parents like bring their child and be like, it's okay. And I'm just like, hi, how you doing? What's up? And taking photos with them. And it's a lovely experience. And on that note as well, there's stories of children who have gotten lost from their parents at conventions and they see a superhero. And they go up to the superhero and they're like, I'm lost, can you please help me find my mom? Because they're a hero and that's somebody they see. But the big difference is those are kids. Those are young kids that don't realize that these are just costumes. And so at the end of the day, they're most likely going to be somewhat respectful. They're not going to be super respectful. There are some little tyrants out there, but for the most part, they're going to have that magic of, wow. And if it's a character that's evil, they're probably going to be scared of the character because they're afraid of what the character is going to do to them. Yet grown adults will go around attacking other grown adults. Really? How does a child have more common sense than you? I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know how long this video's gone. I'm gonna hope it doesn't go very long. But my question for the day is, or for the week really, I have 2. The first one is the fact that I'm actually cosplaying right now. I don't know if any of you realized that this is a cosplay. And I want you to guess what character I'm cosplaying. If you get it right, you get a shout out. Second question. I have lied. I have 3 questions. The second question is, if you could cosplay, or if you have cosplayed, what have you cosplayed? What is your cosplay experiences? Have you had an issue like this before? Talk about it. I'd love to listen. I'd love to hear. And I'm sure everyone else would love to hear your story as well. And my third and final question is for those cool people who have followed me on Twitter. Now, some of my friends already know the answer to this and they're not allowed to answer. I know who you are. But if you're not a friend, or, well, you're a friend, but if you're not a friend that I've told, when you go to my Twitter and you see the video that I posted, very cringe, haha, do you know what my Christmas costume is referencing? It is a holiday-themed costume, so the outfit is holiday-themed character. The first person that gets that answer right will also get a shout-out in my next video. So, go ahead. Leave your comments down below. I love reading them. They're so much fun. On that note, though, y'all be good. Drink some water. Eat some broccoli. And have a good day. See y'all in a week.